Hey everybody, this is Rhino and we are back to The Descendant, episode 5. So, yeah, they've dropped any pretense at this point. We know that the equation slash the ARC computer is alive to some amount, is trying to, in its own mind at least, protect the Descendants, and it does seem like there is potentially some threat to the Descendants, because if they are actively not trying to wake up the humans in cryostasis, if the humans were woken up and freed from ARC-01, the HQ would almost certainly try to arrest them, kill them, or eliminate them in some other way. The ARC basically asked a bunch of questions of Freeman, and it didn't seem like it really mattered what you answered. It almost certainly was going to decide to make you the new janitor for ARC-01 to protect Mia. Although there's a quick jump there, certainly, as to this assumption that Ronald really wanted to hurt Mia versus him actually just trying to save Mia, which definitely feels like it's still a possibility. And Freeman betrayed Ronald reasonably quickly, considering how Ronald has not been trustworthy. The Senator has not proven himself trustworthy. A lot of names in this game. I think we're probably done with Silas at this point. I think he's just going to probably be found dead somewhere. That being said, the game has also dropped the pretense that anything we've been seeing in episode 4 was actually happening centuries ago. It definitely seems more like it's a case of the events we saw with Mia in episode 4 were happening maybe a day earlier than what we're seeing with Freeman. Let's hop in. I did exit the game and relaunch it just so we have the best chance of no visual glitches. We saw a lot of visual glitches
on The Descendant
in episode 4. One of the big questions is is the equation right or is the equation wrong?
Freeman, how much do you know about the equation?
As far as what it's doing to try to protect the Descendants.
He said there's no data connection here.
Hey, Randolph, I think we got it.
What? Randolph?
Now what's funny here is he shows off this USB stick.
They lied to us, They lied to everyone. And now the equation is going global.
But none of the computers look like they could even accept the USB stick, because they have like floppy drives on it.
I won't let you hurt her.
Donnie! What the fuck are you doing?
You see, the computers over on the side there, those are like magnetic tape drives and magnetic memory. That's incredibly old technology. 2 days ago, Descendants Chamber, ARC-01. So we now have gotten inside the Descendant Chamber. We are seeing actual humans, which I question whether that was even the case. And his eyes are kind of glowing from a reflection, which I think we could probably drop the thought that maybe they're robots. But I wouldn't drop the thought that this is all happening in the Matrix. Now, Freeman worked in ARC-42 originally. So
you ready to do some work now? Come
now
on,
we're getting
give me a hand with
flashbacks
something.
of what he was doing before. 1 month ago, Descendants Chamber, ARC-42. And I guess this is going to be the flashback as far as, I guess, Freeman potentially killing the other janitor for doing something wrong. Or killing the Descendants.
Can't even remember how long we've been down here. It's gonna be strange leaving this place.
Yeah. It is technically possible, I imagine, that you could have magnetic tape drive type computers, backups, and not using it as like RAM but using it more as just hard backups that look like that, and have computers that have floppy disk drives connect. That's not super crazy that you could wire those two together fairly easily. And it's not totally impossible that you can have a computer with a floppy disk drive use a USB stick. But it clearly shows a sign of an inconsistency in animation, as if they hired somebody out to make a USB model, 3D model, or they just pre-purchased a USB stick model that had already been made, effectively asset flipping the USB stick. Although asset flip generally is a term used when you call the entire game a product of just purchasing pre-made models and then selling it at a very cheap level. It is the equivalent of house flipping, as it were, where you're just painting the walls and making the house look really pretty and selling it quickly and relatively cheaply, but you're not actually fixing any of the potential interior problems of the foundation, water damage, interior wood. You're just masking the problems. In a video game asset flip, you're masking the fact that there really isn't a video game here. Now, arguably, this is a game that is getting a little too dangerously close to being called an asset flip. Looking at this chamber, this all looks original animated, or at least a combination collage of pre-made assets to make it look like unique art, bespoke art. So, but there's such a small amount of video game element to this game, and this was a problem with Telltale games too, that it can't just survive on the art alone. The one thing I will say is that Telltale games, I think pretty much 100% of all the Walking Dead visuals and assets were probably made in-house, or close to 100%, but it wasn't particularly great animation. This actually looks better than most of the Walking Dead scenes, and Walking Dead was definitely going for more of a comic book style visuals anyways, which made it stand out.
Looks like everything's here.
But yeah, we're just walking around
Been looking after these popsicles so long. I wonder if they'll be grateful.
See, it almost seems like the person is upside down. I don't know if there would be a reason to have the person upside down. I guess not. It's just really hard to see through the effects. They didn't want to animate a face, so there's just kind of a generic dark shadow. I could see an argument, certainly, if you're going to make something like a cryo tank, where you would have them shift up and downward if you're trying to make the blood flow in the body and more. But I would assume in a cryo tank you're just frozen and the blood is frozen too. Yeah. We really haven't made any progress as far as freezing people and unfreezing people since it was first proposed in sci-fi stories. It really does not feel like it's a technology that would make any sense. You would need to almost certainly not just replace all the blood in a human being with some kind of synthetic blood that did not form ice crystals. You would need to replace all the fluid in almost all the cells of a human being to prevent it from forming ice crystals. And that just doesn't seem realistic. We have made some small progress towards synthetic blood. But even at that, I don't think the synthetic blood is specifically made so it doesn't form ice crystals when freezing.
Don't?
Huh? I can't hear you.
Donnie, come on. It took me forever to get that set up.
You want me to change the sentence?
Knock it off. Don't make me come over there.
Hey, don't worry. Your settings are safe.
Yeah, we're moving fairly slow today. I'm moving fairly slow. They really just want you to take a good look.
Get you every time.
I know,
But-
right? It's like walking into the Yankee Stadium. Doesn't matter how many times you see it, it always impresses.
It's funny you get this like background music playing during that. Like, clearly all of this would have just been better as one cutscene where you...
Mistakes cost lives. Tell that to whoever dropped the bombs.
Yeah. It definitely feels like it would have made more of a cutscene. Made a lot more sense to simply have him walk by and have the camera move over here. So this guy's name is Jack. I thought there was a Jack
Locked.
there.
Yeah. Need to punch in the code.
So could we
You
punch
got the
in
elevator
code?
code?
Cause I don't got things to do, right? Alright, hang on. Map says it's MTA. 61142. You got that? Yo, Don, you got it? 6114.
Got it.
Hey,
Didn't
Don.
really give you enough time.
See you on the other side.
So we didn't talk to Jack. And see, that seems like that was that entire sequence. It's just to maybe tell you the code. And I got an achievement for that. And now we're just doing the exact same sequence
Never
again.
thought I'd see the day. Setting foot in another arc. These descendants better be worth all the trouble they've got me in.
And see, it's almost would be an interesting artistic twist if you had seen just a cutscene at Arc 42 in which you had walked all the way through all of this and then walked back. But really it's just
Empty.
wasting your
Guess
time.
someone else needed it.
And we can see.
To come all this way. I just hope all you folks are okay.
See, there's a real disconnect here between what could have been a much better flashback sequence where Jack actually just showed you on your first day of seeing the Descendants Chamber everything and kind of walked you through a introductory this is your first day on the job speech instead of having just a player.
Gotta see what's going on up top before fixing the settings here.
Yeah. I don't even know what is broken or what we're
Man,
trying to fix.
It's exactly the same as my arc. Down to the last nail. Descendants are the future. Hope they don't forget the janitors that gave them their future.
And I'm pressing A to see this worker sign again, and nothing's happening. Interesting that it let me do that.
The map. I remember. This is where I can find the code for the elevator.
Okay. But how? Seems to be a different elevator code for each potential state. For no
Just gotta
good
find
reason.
Arco 1. Huh? Oh, right. Need to punch in the code.
Like, why do you need a code at all when you have, like, a giant vault door right back here? Like, why the extra security? What's so much more safe on that second floor? Because if you got in here, you could probably easily bomb this chamber and blow it up. You may even be able to just like hit it with a hammer or shoot it with a gun and break it. Like, it doesn't seem like that adds an extra amount of security.
The map.
So,
I remember. This is where I can find the code for the elevator.
yeah, what state are we in? I think we're in Alaska. Yeah. But that's kind of something
Just gotta
they
find Arco 1.
it's kind of where 94301. It's not like the game has really explained that in a very long time. That was like mentioned at the very, very beginning of the game. So
The
just
map.
like incredibly
I
unfair.
remember. This is where I can find the code for the elevator.
94301. I just want to double check. Like, particularly if you were playing this as it was potentially releasing episodes, or if you took just long breaks between the episodes. Like, it is as incredibly unfair. And so
Hey,
MTA
Don,
Yeah,
read out the numbers on the clipboard, would you?
got
would
it.
probably be like Montana or something.
Hey, you get your own tools. Those ones have got sentimental value. Read out the numbers on the clipboard, would you?
So no extra real lines of dialogue here.
Maybe we should have brought some buckets. I remember the first time I woke up from cryostasis, and it was not pretty.
So I'm guessing this is the point where the descendants get woken up.
So, you ready to do some work now? Come on, give me a hand with something.
But yeah, you're on the second floor, and it doesn't seem like there's anything particularly special here. In a lot of ways, it's very questionable why you'd even have a second floor when there's nothing to connect to the chamber. Anyways, why not just have one computer terminal on the main floor, and then if there's something up further, have the elevator directly connect
Guess
to
it's
that
gonna
point.
take us a while to bring them all out one by one.
Unless this wall just comes down and the descendants swing around onto these platforms.
Temperature values for each floor, yeah?
Ladies and gentlemen, he can read. What's it say for sub-level 1?
Okay, so then again you have this button prompt.
70.
Okay, and sub-level 2?
Yeah, terrible
65.
system.
Huh? And sub-level 3?
It's over 9,000.
Come on.
It's 62.
Cool. Sub-level 4?
59.
Like literally it's just having me press
Sure?
buttons.
Something's wrong here. Let me just fix that. Alright, cool. Sub-level 5, please.
That's a 54.
Hey, my lucky number. And for sub-level 6?
That'll be 50.
And there we have it.
So we know there's 6
Alright, everything looks
levels.
good here. You better head up top. Connor's freezing his ass off. Seems pretty eager to get this started.
Someone needs to teach Connor some patience.
Whoa there, tough guy. Just watch that temper of yours. Soon as we're out of this freezer, you'll never see that asshole's face again. Probably.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks,
So
man.
in this
Hey, you
arc
think
there
they
was
got
more than
cheeseburgers
just
in your
2.
Man, what I would do for a damn cheeseburger. Alright, go on. Get out of here.
Very artsy transitions there, but it 2 days ago. Yep. So there was at least 3 people in Arc 42 as janitors.
Those fools at HQ might be assholes, but for what it's worth, at least they saved some of us. Okay, gotta make sure each sub-level is set to the right temperature. So, I need to go find out what they are.
It says save. Save.
Whatever it takes. I'm gonna get you all out. I promise.
And then can't leave.
If I'm gonna stop waking up these ascendants, I need to check the temperatures for each of the sub-levels.
Okay, how am I supposed to do that? Wouldn't you think that that was on the computer? Like, I can't interact with the computer at all. Nope, now there's yet another thing here. What's funny is this game feels weird in that we now kind of have the desk glowing, and the animation just does not feel particularly smooth. Like, and this was another problem with Telltale games too, is once you got to the end, they were so rushed and they just didn't care as much about quality. Had this game been one long game, there would be a lot more polish. I think at this end point, episode 4 was broken. This seems to be visually glitchy.
Here we go.
There's a clipboard. People are smoking, which is, I find that strange that that would be allowed. Yeah, we're still asking the question though, whether the equation was killing off people because they had like disease, or it determined some other reason that they shouldn't be saved and woken up. And even at that, it's pretty cruel to just kill them off, or whether that was just Silas being crazy doing that. And what if some of these people did have diseases? How horrific would the disease have to be to the point where Freeman or an average human would agree with the equation? Because the equation would be looking on a terms of the entire population of humanity, I imagine, in a long term. So if somebody had like a heart disease marker in their genetics, where you might get heart disease or you might not, would it kill off somebody for that, even though somebody with heart disease can live well past the point of being able to have children and raise them, which really is all that matters in the natural world, is that you just have to live long enough to have kids and raise them to the point where they can live on their own. After that, the natural world does not care how much longer you live after that point. It does not take into a factor, perhaps, any other input that an older person might have. It only cares about passing along genetic genetic material.
Now I can set the correct temperatures.
Okay. And so we seem to be straight up doing a mouse pointer equivalent. We're just going to hear a bunch of beeping. I don't think the game even really wants to trick us here. It just wants to waste our time. Of course, I'm helping the game waste our time by looking around at everything and just commenting on everything.
Alright, everything looks in order here. Gotta check everything up top. Can't take any chances.
Yeah, utterly this is going to be the most pathetic part of the game, because we are going to we're going to spend way too much time playing these dumb little mini games and seeing flashbacks on unimportant events and unimportant details, when if you were ever going to make a just straight up kinetic visual novel experience, kinetic meaning there's no branching paths and no choices to be made, episode 5 would be the point to do it. Just make the entire final episode mostly cutscenes.
You weren't left behind. I'm gonna get you out.
What's funny is this doesn't feel like this is what the equation wanted. And I would wonder if perhaps the equation does not have any cameras or control inside the descendant chamber. It clearly has control as far as who it lets in, unless that's a different system.
Where you need me?
They sent you? Up top, on the platform.
1 month ago. So all we're really figuring out here is the reason why we were picked is because we would save the descendants no matter what.
How do we get the lowest cryo tanks up to here?
Which does make it seem like the senator wanted to save the descendants. Unless I get an actual choice here, and I don't save the descendants, and the senator wanted me because I didn't save the descendants. So it seems like there's a ladder that it wants me to go even higher. And then this just pure blackness over here. Didn't want to bother to animate that or light it up. Then we can go just see what happens if we get near this guy. Nothing. Oh boy, is that camera. Is that a sharp swing of that camera. This really feels like a game that was potentially made by a new company.
You in position yet?
And it's just way too ambitious for what your first game should be.
I'm here.
I finished
In
my
particular,
checks. Let's just get this over
just
with.
like with the writing
Descendants
and paying
overview
for
look
voice
okay to you?
acting. So, like, we don't know what we're really looking at. All systems power normal. Wake up signal received. Descendants are ready to wake up. Please select first descendant for retrieval.
Looks fine. No anomalies.
Huh.
And so here we
Guess
have.
it takes one to know one. Go pick whoever it is we're waking up first.
Understood. Is that a green light for starting the wake-up protocols?
Are you going
There's
deaf too?
86
Just get
people.
on with it.
Can't wait to see the back of this place.
It's really not enough people. So who are we gonna kill? Well, first of all, let's just look at the elephant in the room here. From the animation, this looks like this is potentially the same person 3 different times that they use the same photo with, as if it was almost fake documents. Or, more likely, they just had one actress change her hair, or maybe they're trying to go for triplets. But the problem with that is this name is Madison Casey, age 24. This person is, what does that say? Patricia West, age 33. I can barely read this text. And then we have a single name at 25. It looks like there's Sydney Kelfer. Maybe that's 2 names. Again, it's just really too much. And same thing here. It looks like it's the same face actor, 3 different ages. Okay. So who are we gonna pick? This looks like this is the oldest lady, and they've oddly set this up for females. So knowing nothing else, like stats alive. If this third line is saying what their specialty is, this is psychology. Yeah, she's the one to pick, because I think one person's gonna die no matter what. She's the oldest, and looking at it just as breeding stock. The youngest can have potentially the most number of pregnancies and survive pregnancies the most often. I mean, that's literally all you can do. And even in this scenario, you might as well just give up. 86 people split between maybe 100 arcs. You're talking 8,000 people with enough genetic diversity. Maybe you could get around inbreeding and just deformations through inbreeding if you worked really, really hard and had just kind of crazy breeding programs. One of the things you would probably want to do too is have, if not save the whole human in cryostasis, have just vast amounts of genetic material, sperm samples, to do IVF from males, and try to have more breeding variety that way. But yeah, one of the major problems with any of these kinds of plans is you've got to have women who are willing to sacrifice their entire future in life to be nothing more than just like cattle, basically, to have kids, to build up a population.
All right, wake up protocols activated.
See, you two can play nice.
Yeah, and it's
I'm regulating the cryotank's oxygen levels.
almost certainly
Hey,
not
Don, what's it meant to be?
believable without
53. No, wait.
a high number
54.
of people, much
It's
higher.
alright, pal. Just take
I
your
would
time.
want
They're just people,
at
same as you and
least
me.
100,000
Connor, ready
people
for retrieval. Activating retrieval
minimum
now.
before I would think humanity could survive and repopulate to a reasonable number. They don't have to get up to billions,
stop. Something's
7
wrong.
billion.
What's happening? What the hell? My whole screen's lit up with error messages. Freeman, what are you seeing?
Hang on.
Donnie, come on!
I don't know. I'm getting error messages I've never seen. I can't make any sense of them.
Oxygen. The fault is in the oxygen. Freeman, was that fucking number? Did you get the numbers wrong on purpose?
No, I didn't. I'm sure I told you the right number. I mean, I think I did.
You think you got it right? Jesus, Don, there's people's lives at stake here.
Donnie, check again, now. Ah, shit, we're losing her, Donnie, we're losing her!
Everything's gonna be all right. I'll get it right this time.
Yeah.
Don't get
So
too attached.
the
I'm only a janitor till we get out.
system
After that,
can communicate with them.
one thing at a time.
So, did we
Right.
get the wrong numbers? I don't think so. I think it was
Let's
the
see
other
what we're
guy's fault.
working with.
But it may have been nobody's fault. It may have been just a glitch. An error caused by manual override of the elevator. This was in episode 1. Complete systems overridden. These are just flashbacks of what happened in the previous episodes. Yeah, I don't think there's a single scenario in which that person would have survived. And we know at least 70
God damn it.
survived.
Maybe I could have. This could have gone differently. Everything we've been through, everything we sacrificed, and that's it? That's it?
Literally only one person died. There was only 100 people here. That's great numbers. Let's see.
One of the janitors made it. You only got in here 3 days ago? So when you came here, that must have been when the Ark piled down. The equation was trying to protect you. Now it's my turn. I just need to figure out how to bring you up here. The controls should be nearby.
So, we're either saving Mia or Silas. And, yeah. So that's, I guess, the big reveal they wanted is that, oh, this game could have gone so much differently. But, like, what do you care? Like, I could go back and replay the first episode, but I probably would have to play the entire game to get 100 saved. And that still doesn't account for the 7 people that Silas killed. I don't know if you could actually make a circle with 100 people and 100 chambers. It'd be kind of hard to get equal distance of 360 degrees divided by 100. So, on one hand, this might be Freeman's redemption arc. Again, we just have yet another environment where you can walk around and do nothing. And then we have what happens far too often in video games, where you have a metal texture that has been programmed to make a sound effect when you walk on it, and then you get this very clanky metal sound that, while maybe accurate, gets a little annoying. And then here we have more of a walking on solid ground sound effect that they're really overemphasizing. One of the things in Unreal Engine programming in particular, and I'm sure it also is in Unity programming, which I would lean to assume that this was more of a Unity game than an Unreal game, is you can create textures and associate a sound to the textures. So you're not like manually programming an area to make a sound effect where you're walking. It's fairly scripted, which means it's easily overlooked as far as how that actually would feel.
The janitor's cryotank should be on sub-level 2. I have to check it before I can start the retrieval process.
So we're going to come back at that point. This is just incredibly ridiculous to have all these computers on different levels. Seems like there's no reason for it at all. And if there was going to be a reason for it, I feel like they should have explained that. We're seeing all these chambers lying around in all these medical carts. That's got to be Silas. I guess perhaps the idea is that the tanks are brought up from the sub-levels, and tanks are possibly even capable of being moved around using that elevator in the middle.
Whatever it takes, I'm gonna get you all out. I promise.
The weird thing here is I kind of feel like the senator has to show up again somehow and play some role, but I don't know how he would actually get in this facility, so he's going to be outside the Ark at that point. And then Mia very possibly has a gun on her in cryostasis. So if the idea is that she was going to side with you out of nowhere.
Are the future. Hope they don't forget the janitors that gave them their future.
Let's see. Yeah. Arc 42 was in this state. Arc 1 is in this state. Suppose it is very possible that there was a lot more than 100 arcs. Even at that, yeah, 1 arc per state would only be 50. If there's, that's 5,000 people. That's far, far too few.
The janitor
Let's
was
not
never
look at
meant to be in
everything.
one of these cryo tanks. If I can find the one tank that doesn't match what's on file, I should be able to find the right one.
Okay. So we have a descendant profile. Again, it looks like they're just using the same pictures. Weight is the same. So we're going to have to just figure out somebody's weight is different, because as far as the live statistics on the right, that's the only one that would line up with the profile. We're not getting a live height or blood type or age.
Do these match?
And again, this is just really screwing over anybody who's potentially looking at the screen even 8 feet away, which is what I'm doing, because that text is not big enough, nor is it facing at a head-on position. It's just wants to show you the chamber on the right, which that artistic decision has just made this game way more difficult.
Empty.
So there's an empty one with status unknown. That might be the pick, but I don't think so.
Shit. They didn't make it.
That's the guy who was killed in the first chapter. He was a specialist hematologist, invaluable medical skills, son of Ando Tamazaki. So this would have been the one guy we potentially could have saved. Now you have all these live stats lower with the bars, but that doesn't, I wouldn't be able to tell what any of those bars are supposed to mean. But I can tell that the Joel Reynolds here was a field of cardiology. He's supposed to weigh 177. I'm seeing 124 in the weight. So this has got to be Mia. He was a doctor in cardiovascular science. So I'm going to select this one. I mean, we could look at all of them and see if maybe there's more of an achievement for looking at everybody.
How about this one?
Wouldn't be surprised if this was fairly randomized.
An empty tank? That can't be good. One of these has to be right.
I think we've gone in circles at this point.
Man, I know who this guy is. He's supposed to making videos online. Glad you made it, man.
Yeah, I wonder if this is somebody that was like a Kickstarter thing. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a Kickstarter game and had all of its funding before it even released episode 1. Yeah. Because certainly this is the kind of game that would look very pretty in screenshots as far as getting funding, getting Kickstartering. And then the premise and the story is not bad, written down as a synopsis. It's just the final product.
There. The stats don't match. That's the cryo tank. That's the last janitor.
At that weight, though, there's no real 100% confirmation that it is Mia. I wouldn't be surprised if it is Silas. And I imagine it probably wouldn't be too hard to kill 94301. It probably wouldn't be too hard to kill somebody and push them in the liquid and have them just at the bottom of the cryo tank. it would be a funny twist if it turned out the senator actually was here for Silas, and like that was the big twist, and it had nothing to do with Mia, or very little to do with Mia. It would bring Silas back into the picture as being a more important character instead of just a random character they added to go crazy. Kind of an afterthought. Yeah, for instance, if Silas turned out to be the son of the senator. Hey, but we'll find out pretty soon here.
Okay, gotta get the cryo tank
We're
to the
46
surface.
minutes into this game.
If I'm remembering it right, I need to rotate the levels, and if there's an empty space, then I can move the cryo tanks higher or lower using the machinery.
Yeah, this is like the worst possible system, I think. And there's no button prompts at all. Okay, so... Okay. We want to make space. This really feels very mouse and keyboard like.
Good. Now I have to clear a path for the cryo tank using these lifts.
Clear a path for the cryo tank using lifts. Well, we made progress here. And then I guess what we have to do is shift it way over here into that spot. I mean, really, really video gamey. Real waste of time. It would be incredibly more interesting to have the actual story wrap up. Okay. This really is not what I was expecting.
Got the hang of this. Not much further to go.
Okay. So we're gonna have to chase the empty spaces. To get the one
Almost
we want.
there.
There. Yeah. What was being depicted there just does not match what is being shown, as far as I don't see a up and down track that you would be able to connect one ring to the other. Alright, that looks like Mia. Doesn't look like Crazy Silas.
It'll be okay. Done this before.
Part of the problem with this kind of bad storyline, though, is I just don't know what I could dismiss as just being too crazy.
Hey.
So, if you told me she was pregnant,
You okay?
if you told me she was pregnant with the singer's child, if you told me she was pregnant with Silas's,
The hell?
Who are you?
Take it easy.
let's see.
I'm a janitor, same as you. Look, I get it. You're alone. You have no idea who I am.
And that's
All I
another
can
great
do is
example
tell
of
you I'm
being
here to
given
help.
a
My
prompt
name is
and it not
Donald Freeman.
matter.
Now, I used to be a janitor at another Ark. The world up there, it's safe now. I came to get you all out. That's it.
Who are you with?
Let's see.
It's just me. I'm all that's left of the search team.
You've got to be kidding me.
I know what it's like to think you're never getting out of a place. That you're being forgotten. That someone somewhere has decided your life isn't worth a damn. That's not me. Your life is worth a damn. You are not expected.
Whatever decisions I'm
And you have
picking
not
in the
been
dialogue now,
forgotten.
I don't think is really going to matter too much at the end. They may mention
People
what
call
you
me
pick.
Donnie.
Mia.
Now, can we get out of here, please? Give me a hand.
I've got it.
Whatever you've been through down here, everything's gonna be all right now.
I'm so done with this place.
No! You.
How'd he get in? How'd he get a gun? I guess he really is shooting him. Let's go ahead and grab this gun, I guess.
Don't even think about it.
Doesn't matter
What
what
are
you
you
have
doing?
done.
No one else has to die here.
I'm not here for you. What do you mean? No one else? Where is he? Where is he?
Who?
Where is my son?
Yep. Definitely
Answer
a
me.
possibility. Just
Your
anything
son?
possibly could have
None of
happened.
us got to bring family.
Look around. Everyone inside this ark, inside this room, is someone's child, someone's sibling, someone's spouse. Every descendant inside Ark 01 is a prisoner, a hostage, kept here to ensure complete obedience from those of us who are going to be in charge of the new world.
You're out of your damn mind.
No, he isn't. It's all true. This place was always meant to be the ARC program's dirty little secret. Classified, no official records.
Okay.
But you never expected they would turn on you and take your son, did you?
I only found out when we launched the missiles.
What?
All I could do was make my boy the equation's top priority. Have it protect him here, watching, listening, learning, making sure nothing happened to him. The other descendants were a secondary concern.
The ARC program? They launched the missiles? No. You. are
Not super
responsible for killing
surprised
everyone.
by that,
Global
really.
annihilation. They planned it all. Wipe the slate clean. Start a new world. I uncovered the truth. Threatened to expose the senator here if he didn't get me a spot in an ARC. I leaked ARC 01's location to the press before the bombs dropped. In case he thought I was bluffing.
I won't ask you again.
I don't know. I don't know how this system works. I don't even know if your son is still alive.
Then what good are you to me?
Just stop! I swear. I will do everything in my power to get your damn son.
Verbal command
What
received.
did you do?
The equation. It's found him.
So yeah, you would have never really guessed that the sun was in the cryostasis as much as I would have guessed that the sun was Silas, the janitor.
How did you do that? You're not going anywhere.
See, they don't even have you do a quick time event to get the
What
gun.
gave you the right to choose who lived and who died? To
I
decide
think
that you and your son
killing
were more
him
important than everyone you left to die.
is probably a good move, but why do it now?
No!
Versus, like, let's just not shoot either. Because if I shoot him now, it doesn't, like, create real justice for all the people that were killed. Better to take him to stand trial, and even if he's just hung by a mob later.
No. No one else dies. Not on my watch.
Like, I don't know why I
Probably
would
the only person in this
shoot
world who is
a
completely
son.
innocent. Thank you, Donnie.
And then apparently HQ is now going to move in.
Target located.
But see, we had flash forwards, so we already knew that Donald was going to get caught. So, yeah. We knew you weren't getting out of
That's
this
all
free.
I know. That's all I did. All I said.
But it does seem like the equation,
Every choice I made.
and he's been lying to
There
them.
must be something you missed, Freeman. The equation is everywhere now. It's taking control of every system we have. It's still trying to eliminate threats to the Descendants.
Why should I care?
What?
As long as you're in control. You're a threat to the Descendants. Where are they? Everyone from Arco 1.
Forget them. Worry about us. We can't hold the equation back. It's going to destroy everything. Everything we've accomplished.
Then maybe you're getting what you deserve.
What makes you think it'll spare you? Just because you saved everyone left in Arco 1, you think you're special? You think it'll protect you?
Locating Donald Freeman. Yeah, I think it is definitely avoid to bypass it. Alright, so what am I supposed to be avoiding here? Like, this is just completely different video game style. Am I supposed to be hitting these ramps? Yeah, this is like a dropper puzzle, I guess. And this is really cool looking, and again, it feels like something that you might sell a game like this on Kickstarter. But yeah, the equation seems to be right. And everybody else seems to be wrong. And Donald seems to have made a good friend as being a janitor slash assistant to the Ark and to the equation. And honestly, the equation is going to need a human.
We're running out of time, Freeman. What are you not telling me?
We all ran out of time long before this. Wasn't me that ended the world.
And I guess now it just wants us to do it again. Like, incredibly consistent around this idea of making you do things twice. Just stretching the game. Which that gives me the feeling that there probably was some kind of publisher involved in this game. Otherwise, there really wouldn't have been a need to make it longer. This is getting very hard to visually read. And if anything, it's feels like I may just get an achievement for doing this. The equation has to do more than just kill HQ, though.
That's
If it's
one
going
of
to
the
protect the
regenerators
Descendants,
taken out.
if it's going to
Of
protect
course, you'd
the
know that
Descendants,
if you were a janitor.
it's
But
got
no.
to
Slept through
improve
it all, didn't you?
the system too.
Tucked up in your comfy little cryo tank.
This is your fault. You were the one who released the equation. Why, Freeman? Why would you jeopardize everything we've worked for?
Let's go with I did the right thing.
It was the right thing to do. You trapped those poor people down there with no hope of help. All I cared about was getting everyone out of that damn hole in the ground. Besides, it wasn't me that committed genocide. It wasn't me that held Descendants hostage. It wasn't me who tried to stop Ark-01 from getting the wake-up signals.
What's funny is we didn't really get any more flashback as far as what Donald did. Or Donnie did in Ark-42, so I guess it was just potentially he made one mistake and let one person die, which on the scale of all of humanity really is just not that big of a deal. There almost certainly isn't a opposite version of this ending sequence though, where if I played as a complete jerk and just killed everybody, the equation would have sided with me anyways.
It's here, isn't it? For fuck's sake, Freeman. Without us, without HQ, there will be no order, just anarchy. Our world will end. Tell us how to stop the equation!
Why should I help you? Even if I could. I'm just a pawn in all this. I'm the only son of a bitch who couldn't live with myself if I didn't do something to try and help those poor people you trapped underground. If this is where I'm meant to die, then so be it. You brought this upon us, not me. You did unspeakable things. Why? Who ordered this?
Now we have just like
Who stood to gain from any of it?
Here we have very flat animations, not in 3D.
How are we supposed to rebuild this world when the foundation is just as broken and corrupt as it was before the world ended?
So he gets thrown in jail. The son seems to have been freed.
You tried to crush the hope of everyone on the planet and force your will upon everything.
Maya moves on.
This
is very much like Fallout. Maya's arrested too, I guess.
Always find a way. Don't you get it? You cannot keep people down. Do you hear what I'm saying? Look at me!
I think they're trying to show that you have like electric cuffs on.
When will you learn? When will you stop trying to kill everything that stands in your way and just accept that no one is expendable?
Cameras wouldn't have speakers on them.
Stop this! Now!
How did you do that?
My name is Donald Freeman, janitor of Ark-42 and Ark-01. I swore to protect the Descendants from anything and everything.
What are you doing?
Release me! The equation is everywhere. It can control everything. Every system, every piece of technology, every resource at our disposal. And it obeys me. So if you want to know how we survive from here, you better start listening to me.
And weird visual glitches on the in logo for not really good reason. And then I got like 3 achievements all at once there. that still leaves me with about 10 achievements I haven't collected. So unless there is an episode 6, which maybe, still story written by credits by the same person. Yeah, unless there's an episode 6 that kind of wraps this up, it seems like that is a weird point to finish the story at and not really finish it well. It definitely is trying to do multiple endings like Fallout, but doing it a lot worse. And pretty obviously, even with the name Freeman, they were trying to go for a like slavery, racism allegory, having the janitors be people of a lower class, but they did a very poor job of it. I think inherently what you would have done is, in writing the story and having just seen it myself, I could immediately say, let's do a rewrite and let's put some kind of shock collar on all the janitors that maybe was a communicator or sold as a communicator, but turns out to be capable of shocking janitors and keeping them in line also. And then you could show the senator using it and doing that kind of idea. That would certainly hit the nail on the head a lot better as far as janitors just being treated as slaves. If it were the opposite situation where we saw the senator punch Donnie a couple of times instead of Donnie getting mad and punching the senator, I think that would also potentially help. And even if you didn't want to do a shock collar of violence, the senator really just needed to talk down a lot more to Donald Freeman, and there's just not a lot of good conversations in this game throughout any of the episodes. It's all fluff conversations and just poorly written conversations. We can see here there isn't a replay. Also, we've only been going an hour, so this last episode was about 20 minutes shorter than all the others. And if I was going to just click replay here, let's see.
Don't you take another step.
Let's see what this is.
You're not who I was expecting.
The other guy got reassigned.
It seems like it's just starting the whole game over, not giving you like an abridged version.
All right, hurry it up then.
Yeah. Yeah, this definitely feels like this is just the same story done twice. If they were going to go with more of the slavery, racism, or second-class citizen situation, they really should have...
It was 20 years ago today, scientists...
Let's see if we can skip this. Yeah. Century Later's Alaska. Yep, so the whole game is just started over. We don't need to go any further to investigate that. We can now look and see if we've possibly done anything as far as save files. They did very nicely give us 100% completion on one save file, and then we started episode 1 at 12%. So that first, before you even see that first cutscene, is 12% of episode 1, which is really just highlight how incredibly small these episodes were. I feel like this background changed after the first playthrough, but never changed again. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to really say this other than it seems to me like there was a real decent pitch, decent concept. Seems like a publisher at some point got involved. I wouldn't be surprised if a Kickstarter was involved, and they definitely were inspired by copying things. But the actual skill to do good writing, the actual skill to do good gameplay mechanics, or even good puzzles. Puzzles are very, very disconnected from the rest of the experience and very basic. They're just not there. I wouldn't even go as far as to say this is a good first effort for a new company to make their first game. It is far too ambitious as a first effort. I would have much preferred they just had a kinetic visual novel experience on this, in which you just were watching what would have been just an animated TV show for a few hours. And arguably, if we did cut out all the gameplay in this game, it probably would have only been 2 or 3 hours to tell one story. They've left it kind of on a cliffhanger. But it doesn't. I've lost my train of thought. Yeah. I've probably said a lot about this game already. I'm looking at the achievements right now, and achievements that I've missed as it was tossing out achievements like crazy is like, the first one I see that I missed was that I didn't lie to Silas at the very beginning. So potentially, if I did that multiple times and replayed the game, I would... Let's see. I'm trying to look at any of these. Looking at the American flag multiple times seems to give you an achievement, which seems like crazy. Let's see. There's an achievement here called Enemy of the State that says the final janitor of ARC-01 became a threat to the Descendants, which that almost certainly would be an achievement if you shot the sun. And then there's an achievement below that that says the final janitor of ARC-01 removed the threat to the Descendants, which would almost certainly have been shooting the senator. And then there's an achievement for unlocking all the other achievements called Employee of the Year. Let's see. Due diligence achievement, you made Donnie check everything possible while in the Descendants chambers of both arcs. I somehow missed that. Successfully averted a crisis in less than 10 minutes. I don't know what that really is about. In general, I would say you're not likely to get all the achievements, though. Just too many of them that are straight up contradictory, and you would have to play the game multiple times, or you would have to have a walkthrough that says make this decision, then immediately exit before it saves, and then make the other decision. You would have to play in an incredibly weird way. The twists in this game are, I mean, there's just so many different ways to say that the writing is bad, but the twists are another great example of the writing being bad. There's no way at the end of episode 4 you would have had any reason to suspect that there was a Sun character that they never even showed a face of in the arc. I don't think at any point we would have seen the details that the Descendants in the game, in ARC-01, were actually relatives or descendants of the other people, the senator and other people who were in charge. The name The Descendant, I guess, is a slight hint at that, but you really wouldn't have gotten that idea. The logo of The Descendant is almost the top of the cryo chamber, except for it's in a square position and the chamber was round. It does, the platform in the middle though looks similar enough, but even at that, like, that logo doesn't really mean anything. They would have had to have shown us the chamber way earlier for that to matter. Yeah, the level design in this game is awful, too. Very few levels in areas created, very little done with the areas, and then even when you were doing something with the areas, it was very repetitive, walking back and forth, hidden object gameplay style. Compared to a Telltale game, which constantly gave you dialogue choices, and just every single response in a Walking Dead Telltale game, for example, was a dialogue prompt, or almost every response was. Sometimes, on rare occasion, you would pick a prompt and then they would go into a big speech, but not very often. Those Telltale games, though, the way they were written, the way they were developed, are a million times better than what we saw here, where the dialogue prompts here are just a thought thrown in after the fact. They don't really play a role well enough to matter as far as your decisions. They play a role maybe as to how you get an achievement if you're just trying to get achievements. Arguably, this is a game that does not deserve to have any achievements in it, because you're not really achieving much of anything in playing the game. You're just being on a roller coaster and letting it take you from point A to point B. It's less than average, I would say, this game. Disappointing, really. I'm increasingly feeling like I'm getting less and less satisfied with games as I get older and I play more and more games, but even at that, trying to adjust for perhaps a more critical eye on video games, I have to say this is less than average for the time that this game would have been made and it would have come out. Just because it's missing the interactive concept. It's missing a great idea. Even as a story, it's missing a great idea. It's clearly stealing ideas and borrowing ideas from like a Fallout universe or a post-apocalyptic universe to no real good use. Even though I wouldn't say the writing is the best in Fallout 3, for instance, at least there's enough concepts in Fallout 3 as far as having rad roaches and ghouls and super mutants. There's enough. Here's a dumb idea, let's have a giant roach that we can smash and shoot. Anything like that would have been helpful. Like insects, giant insects of some sort, or a giant monster of some sort that Donald had to like beat with a stick and fight against would have been fine. Mold or radioactive gas in certain chambers would have made sense. Speaking of chambers, there's at least like 4 classified chambers inside the ARC-01 that they teased and did nothing with. There's actually quite a few things that were teased and they did nothing with, like Silas, for instance. Like, he totally didn't even need to be in the story, did he? Apparently not. Or Mia. Did she really need to be in the story? No, she was just a red herring. Silas was just a red herring. This really should have been a story more of the Senator and Donald Freeman only, and there was definitely a lot of room for the Senator to make himself more likable at the beginning, to tell stories about his son, and then Donald Freeman would have made the assumption that the son was dead when the missiles fell, because nobody was allowed to bring any of their family, which that's a terrible system anyways. Like, you can't bring your family with you, then almost everybody would immediately be depressed and society would fail because of that. Like, it's a dumb thought. Like, people's family connections are very, very strong, usually. Yeah. I feel like at this point, though, I am probably just complaining to make this episode go a little bit more, which is the problem with the game itself. So let's stop here. I would definitely not waste my time playing The Descendant a second time using an achievement guide just to get all the achievements. Even though I am still kind of crazy about achievements, I'm not that crazy. And I definitely wouldn't play a season 2 of The Descendant if it was made, because they've kind of shown the hand. I don't know what more you could do other than potentially jump into the future several centuries so Donald Freeman died of like natural causes, and then you could have another world. But they did no world building at all. We never saw the outside world. We only saw ARC-01. So there's not really any more story to tell. You just have to imagine that Donald Freeman is going to be the de facto authority, and the equation is going to listen to him going forward, and it has just judged him probably forever to be worthy of giving orders. So just assume he creates a slightly better world, probably not a perfect world, and I would still have to make the assumption that all of humanity still dies. I just don't think there's enough people. Like, I don't think there's enough genetic diversity amongst a few thousand, 10,000, even 100,000 would be tough as far as building back humanity to anything that would be a reasonable level, on top of which humanity would be incredibly unsatisfied with the level of comforts and technology they would have in this new world, particularly as you start to have bigger populations and less resources. None of the scientists and genius you would have brought through the ARC program would have probably been capable of working in a factory to just refine steel to build buildings or something like that in a forgery, or a steel forge, not a forgery. Yeah, that's the wrong word. And they definitely were not bringing over enough janitors, for lack of a better term, to work in factories and do the hard backbreaking manual labor that would be necessary rebuilding the society in this kind of world. Now, if there had been newer technology, if everything was automated and robots built everything, that would be a different situation. But even in the Fallout universe, where they do have like robots, the robots didn't have the capability of rebuilding buildings and making a comfortable life for the people who survived in the Fallout apocalypse or post-apocalypse. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. There's also a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list if you want to support me further. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.